Hey everybody, Dave here. Are you one of those people that skips ads in podcasts? Of course, we like the ads because we have a lot of great sponsors and they help keep the lights on and great content coming to you every day. But we've got great news for the ad skippers among you. A CyberWire Pro subscription now gives you access to all your favorite CyberWire podcasts ad-free. That's right, ad-free. And you can still listen to them on your favorite apps. Visit the cyberwire.com/pro to subscribe and go ad-free and get all the other great benefits of a pro subscription too. That's the cyberwire.com/pro. Funding for this CyberWire podcast is made possible in part by LastPass. LastPass is an award-winning security solution that helps millions of individuals in over 70,000 organizations navigate their online lives easily and securely. Businesses can maximize productivity while still maintaining effortless, strong security with LastPass. LastPass can minimize risk and give your IT team a breakthrough integrated single sign-on, password management, and multi-factor authentication solution. Reports of cyber attacks against Iranian government and possibly economic targets are circulating. Details are sparse. Norway accuses Russia of hacking parliamentary emails. A cyber criminal gang's secret is volume. A social engineering campaign singles out victims with US IP addresses. Joe Kerrigan on $1 million R-Evil recruitment offer. Our guest is Paul Nicholson from A10 Networks with a look at the state of DDoS weapons. And the U.S. Treasury Department warns banks to be on the lookout for signs of unemployment fraud. From the CyberWire studios at Data Tribe, I'm Dave Bittner with your CyberWire summary for Wednesday, October 14th, 2020. Iran's National Computer Emergency Response Team acknowledged today that 2 Iranian government agencies had come under cyber attack, which had been successfully confined to those 2 organizations. The Jerusalem Post notes that the disclosure came after rumors of the disruption circulated widely in social media. Iran's official news agency, IRNA, said the attacks had been contained, done limited damage, and were under investigation. Unconfirmed reports from U.S.-operated Radio Farda and other sources said the attacks hit Iran's ports and shipping organization, as well as a port in Bandar Abbas, and that some financial services may also have been affected. Norwegian Foreign Minister Ina Eriksen Søreide announced that Moscow was responsible for a recent attack on Norway's parliamentary email system. The BBC quotes the foreign minister as saying, quote, "Based on the information available to the government, it is our assessment that Russia stood behind this activity." End quote. Moscow dismissed the statement as a serious and willful provocation. The attack, detected in August, gave the intruders access to parliamentary emails in an apparent cyberespionage incident. Those of you of a certain age will remember the radio ads for discount electronics stores or men's clothing establishments whose prices were so low that they were just insane. The proprietor would ask, they ask me, "What's your secret?" And I tell them, volume. It's like that with social engineering sometimes. FireEye today released an account of the activities of Fin11, a financially motivated APT, that is, a criminal gang. Fin11 isn't the Maison Louis Vuitton of malware. Their stuff isn't particularly advanced or sophisticated. No, Fin11 is more the Crazy Louie's nut house of malware. What Fin11 lacks in sophistication, Fin11 makes up in volume. The outfit runs as many as 5 large-scale phishing expeditions a week. They've been around for a while, since 2016 at least, which makes them venerable by criminal standards. Their targets were initially chosen from the financial, retail, and hospitality sectors, but over the past year, Fin11's target list has expanded to the point where few sectors or geographical regions have escaped attention. Fin11 has shown an evolution that exemplifies the way the criminal underground has changed over the last few years. FireEye says, quote, "Recently, Fin11 has deployed Clop ransomware and threatened to publish exfiltrated data to pressure victims into paying ransom demands. The group's shifting monetization methods, from a point-of-sale malware in 2018 to ransomware in 2019 and hybrid extortion in 2020, is part of a larger trend in which criminal actors have increasingly focused on post-compromise ransomware deployment and data theft extortion." End quote. FireEye also notes that recent Fin11 activity seems to overlap with that of the TA505 criminal group, but they caution that this doesn't mean the two groups are the same, and in fact their assessment is that they're distinct operations. What it does mean is that the two groups are partaking of another criminal trend, buying services from a commodity criminal provider of hacking tools and services. And their secret? Volume. Digital Shadows describes an SMS-based campaign that uses highly personalized clickbait to induce its victims to follow the proffered link. It was originally known as the USPS texting scam, but it's expanded beyond messaging that impersonates the U.S. Postal Service. Other services, notably Amazon, FedEx, Cash App, Netflix, various adult entertainment services, and of course payment card or financial services, the usual bric-a-brac of the online scam. A lot of smishing this year has used fear of the COVID-19 pandemic to lend urgency to its appeals to fear. That's not the case in this recent wave. Instead, it relies on more or less plausible impersonation of a shipper's customer service messaging to tell the victim, for example, that an attempt has been made to ship them a package, and that for some reason or another, usually an unstated reason, the shipment requires the recipient's immediate attention. There's usually a shipping number, bogus, of course, but tacked on for greater detail to lend plausibility to the imposture. That's tossed in for good measure. What's not bogus is the recipient's name, and that can really lend plausibility. These are the steps in the attacks Digital Shadows describes. First, the victim receives a message with a suspicious 4- to 6-digit link. Second, the incautious victim clicks the link and is redirected to a .io domain. Third, that domain fingerprints the victim and connects to another domain. Fourth, the victim, if located in the U.S., is redirected to a phishing page. If the victims are determined to be outside the U.S., they're simply redirected to a legitimate Google page. If the user has an IP address located within the U.S. before they're redirected to the phishing page, they're briefly connected to a tracking domain. The phishing page is usually a phony survey. After the victims complete the survey, they move to the final page, which asks them for personally identifiable information. Those are fulls in hacker speak, so that they can receive a free prize for completing the survey. But as is so often the case, the prize is the victim's data, and the winners are the hackers. Finally, the COVID-19 pandemic has induced a large number of unemployment claims, and the U.S. Treasury Department warns banks to watch for signs of a correspondingly large rise in unemployment fraud. Among the signs the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network points out are large wire transfers, especially transfers to offshore accounts. Wire transfers can be as convenient as they are risky, unlike credit card fraud, where the victims have some recourse. Once a wire transfer goes through, it's gone, baby, gone. And now, a word from our sponsor, LookingGlass Cyber. For years, organizations have been working to keep up with threats by deploying new security tools. The result is a complex and inflexible security stack that is ineffective in today's micro-segmented, borderless, and distributed networks. To keep pace with the threats of today and prepare for the future, organizations need flexible protection around their unique network ecosystems. With a software-based approach to unifying your security stack, formerly disjointed tools can communicate with one another to disrupt and distract the adversary without revealing your defenses. With this flexible approach, security teams can easily scale their protection to fit their needs, with one integrated software solution requiring no specialty hardware. Meet Cloud Shield Eclipse Distributed Active Cyber Defense. Learn more at lookingglasscyber.com. That's lookingglasscyber.com. And we thank Looking Glass Cyber for sponsoring our show. Researchers at A10 Networks recently published a report on the state of DDoS weapons. Joining us with some of their findings is A10 Networks' Paul Nicholson.
Okay, so with this report, we actually publish it every quarter, and it's basically an informational resource for security professionals to look at potential weapons which could hit their network. So it's a slight difference than some of the other reports out there because we call it the DDoS weapons report because these weapons are potential weapons which could be used to attack your network. As well as that, we also normally highlight some of the more interesting findings and try and relate them to topical events where we can as well.
What are you tracking in terms of the evolution of DDoS? Do things continue to grow?
So we look at, as I say, amplification and reflection attacks are the biggest types of attacks we see. So some of the usual UDP services which come out and top in the report every quarter. So, for example, with PortMap, we see 1.8 million potential weapons out there which could be used to launch these types of spoofing attacks. And then after that, SNMP, SSDP, DNS resolvers, and TFTP servers. So they round out the top 5. But what we find is interesting is you might have heard there was a recent attack on Amazon revealed in their Q1 report. And that was the same type of attack, a UDP attack, but it was using not one of the top 5 weapons. It was actually using one called CLDAP or Connectionless Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. And, when I talked about these top weapons we see, there's like 1.8 million of them out there. With the CLDAP ones from our honeypots and our sources, at the time, we were seeing only 15,000. So the size isn't always an indication if it's going to be used for the largest attacks of the day.
So what are your recommendations in order for organizations to best protect themselves against this? What sort of things do you suggest?
One, you have to know your environment. You have to also, if you're going to a cloud environment, very important right now is to know that cloud environment as well and your level of responsibility in terms of what's secured by the cloud or hosting provider versus what your responsibility is. As I mentioned in that CLDAP example earlier, illustrating that. And then, with the DDoS attacks, literally the attackers are just trying to overwhelm either the network, the infrastructure, or the applications. So employing automation, artificial intelligence to be able to help, establish your baseline, be able to see when that baseline is being exceeded, and then gradually implement policies which become more aggressive as the attacks become aggressive, is the way to go because it will reduce the operational impact of having it. It'll be more accurate, and it'll give you a better chance to make sure that you can defend against these.
That's Paul Nicholson from A10 Networks. And now, a word from our sponsor, Threat Connect. Designed by analysts but built for the entire team, Threat Connect's intelligence-driven security operations platform is the only solution available today with intelligence, automation, analytics, and workflows in a single platform. Every day, organizations worldwide use Threat Connect as the center of their security operations to detect, respond, remediate, and automate. With all of your knowledge in one place, enhanced by intelligence, enriched with analytics, driven by workflows, you'll dramatically improve the effectiveness of every member of the team. Want to learn more? Check out their newest ebook, SOAR Platforms. Everything you need to know about security, orchestration, automation, and response. The book talks about intelligence-driven orchestration, decreasing time to response and remediation with SOAR, and ends with a checklist for a complete SOAR solution. Download it at threatconnect.com/cyberwire. That's threatconnect.com/cyberwire. And we thank Threat Connect for sponsoring our show. And joining me once again is Joe Kerrigan. He's from the Johns Hopkins University Information Security Institute and also my co-host over on the Hacking Humans podcast. Hey, Joe, it's great to have you back.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Good. So we have an article here from Forbes written by Simon Chandler, and it's titled, Our Evil Ransomware Gang Offers $1 million as part of a recruitment drive. Unpack this for us here, Joe.
Right now, I'm putting my pinky up to the corner of my mouth. $1 million. So what is going on here is that this group, the Our Evil ransomware operation, has deposited this $1 million in Bitcoin in a Russian-speaking hacker website. And they are announcing that they're looking for people to help with their operation. They're recruiting people, Dave. This is just like a business for these guys.
Is this like LinkedIn for bad guys?
That's what the hacker forum is. It's LinkedIn for bad guys.
Right.
But when you're a malicious actor, you have to demonstrate that you're capable of paying people for being part of your operation. And what they've done here is essentially put into escrow $1 million in Bitcoin and said, look, we can do this. We have the money to pay you. We are not scamming you, which is a really big risk for people when they're looking to do nefarious things in the dark net, right? There's all kinds of ways to get scammed out of your money or your time on that and do work for someone for free. And nobody wants to do that. So these guys have said, well, here's $1 million in Bitcoin. We're just going to put it up here and you can see it and we'll pay you from it.
Who are they looking for? What kind of talent are they going after?
They're looking for affiliates who would be responsible for getting into organizations and infecting them with ransomware. And actually, Our Evil is building this ransomware as a service enterprise, and they're saying that they'll receive 20% to 30%, while you, as the guy that broke in to the place and infected them with ransomware, you'll get 70 to 80% of the payout. Ransomware is tough work, breaking in. So if you can have other people do it and then just collect 20 to 30% while other people do the work, it's like being a franchiser. Right?
So I was going to say, it's like opening your neighborhood McDonald's.
Exactly.
Except for ransomware.
That's exactly what this is. They are looking for franchisees. It is exactly like a business. We talk about how these people run their organizations just like businesses. There are people in there for sales. This is recruiting. This is like HR. There are people who do management, and there are people who do tech support for these companies. Not companies, organizations. These are criminal organizations. I say company like it's run like a company, but it's not a company. It's a
legitimate businessmen.
Right, exactly. One of the things they're looking for people with experience and skills in penetration testing, right? Which means they're looking for people to break into businesses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it strikes me that $1 million is not chump change, no matter what form it's in Bitcoin or other ways. I suppose, I guess it's a small possibility, but there's a possibility that this could all be a ruse by law enforcement, right? To try to hook people in. That happens sometimes on these dark web forums. Yeah, unlikely, but
that is possible. But the problem is that if you're doing this completely like the Onion network, the Onion router network, Tor, then you're going to have a hard time finding the people who have done this. And if you send them Bitcoin and they immediately change that to another currency to evade detection, that's also going to be hard to find. So I don't think law enforcement is going to take $1 million, put it up, and say, we're going to try to catch some bad guys. Maybe they're going to do it if it's seized money. They've seized money from people. This Bitcoin's all seized. They really don't care what happens. Maybe. That's a good point, Dave. That this might not be hackers, but I think it is the Our Evil. I think that's been confirmed in the story. That
I guess what I'm getting at is that that's sort of the rolled into all of this is that element of risk, that cost of doing business. That there is a risk. You always have to be looking over your shoulder.
Absolutely.
And I guess to the main point of this whole story that in order to get people to trust them, that's why they have to put the $1 million up in the first place.
That's exactly right. Yeah. This is something I could never do. Not because it's wrong, right? And because I mean,
you're fully capable of doing things that are wrong.
That's not what I meant to say. Not just because it's wrong.
Right. Okay.
Let's say that instead. Not just because it's wrong and because you're destroying people's businesses and lives, but I know myself. I could never live in constant fear of somebody tapping me on the shoulder and going, Mr. Kerrigan, you're under arrest for the hacking. Okay, great.
Right.
That gives
You're
me
the guy who always
chest.
rewound his VHS tapes before you returned them to the rental store. Yeah, exactly. You want to sleep at night.
Exactly. I want to sleep at night. And I would not be able to sleep at night under these conditions, regardless of how many millions of dollars in Bitcoin I had in some exchange somewhere.
Right.
Or in my own hard wallet. Just wouldn't be comforting.
Yeah. All right, well, the article is over on Forbes, again, written by Simon Chandler. It's Our Evil Ransomware Gang offers $1 million as part of a recruitment drive. Joe Kerrigan, thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure, Dave.
Thanks to all of our sponsors for making the CyberWire possible, especially our supporting sponsor, Proofpoint's Observe It, the leading people-centric insider threat management solution. Learn more at observeit.com. And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. And for professionals and cybersecurity leaders who want to stay abreast of this rapidly evolving field, sign up for CyberWire Pro. It'll save you time and keep you informed. Have it your way. Listen for us on your Alexa smart speaker, too. The CyberWire podcast is proudly produced in Maryland out of the startup studios of Data Tribe, where they're co-building the next generation of cybersecurity teams and technologies. Our amazing CyberWire team is Elliot Peltzman, Puru Prakash, Stefan Vaziri, Kelsey Bond, Tim Nodar, Joe Kerrigan, Carol Terrio, Ben Yellen, Nick Valecki, Gina Johnson, Bennett Moe, Chris Russell, John Petrick, Jennifer Ivan, Rick Howard, Peter Kilpie, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. And now, a word from our sponsor, Verizon. Mitigate the risks and realize the benefits of digital transformation with the help of Verizon, a leader in cybersecurity managed and professional services for nearly 2 decades. From secure cloud computing solutions to advanced detection and response capabilities, Verizon helps secure data, networks, and infrastructure of many of the world's best-known organizations. Their annual Data Breach Investigations Report is considered the gold standard of cybercrime research. And Verizon's leadership in network, wireless, and IoT connectivity makes it uniquely capable of protecting the ever-expanding attack surface. Let Verizon help you optimize your defenses and achieve the maximum return on your security investments. Learn more at verizonenterprise.com/products/security.